Yuma County, Arizona is known as the winter salad bowl capital. From lettuce to cilantro to broccoli, the region produces almost all the leafy green vegetables consumed in the U.S. during winter months. But farmers there rely on the nearby Colorado River. And as the West contends with drought and a changing climate, they've had to adapt. Stephanie Sy has this report.
So I'm going to guess about 5 days ago.
Okay. On a crisp November morning, an introduction on how to grow vegetables in the Sonoran Desert.
So right now we would be harvesting this crop at peak maturity probably next week.
Matt McGuire is the chief agricultural officer for J.V. Smith, which grows vegetables on 8,500 acres in Yuma County, Arizona.
I'm standing in a field of lettuce, but I'm surrounded on all sides by desert. How does this make sense?
Very fertile soil. You got to remember this valley, Yuma Valley, Bard Winter Haven Valley, they're all formed by the river.
That's the Colorado River, which starts in the Rocky Mountains and once flowed so abundantly down to this region that it would occasionally flood.
So there's all these sediments from flooding over the years that built up these very rich soils here in this area.
That, plus the consistently mild, sunny winters in southern Arizona, have made lettuce growing a cash cow.
You can say, oh, I want to grow them all in Florida. Well, that's great. When they don't get hurricanes or excess rains or freeze, you have vegetables in the wintertime. There are other places that keep trying, but they cannot grow consistent quantities and quality of lettuce that the country needs. So if you want lettuces in the wintertime or broccoli in the wintertime, you got to come to the desert.
So these sprinklers are something we've started to implement over the last 2 years.
Farmer John Dinsmore says the winter climate, coupled with irrigation practices, produce a better harvest and a better yield.
Being able to have such consistent weather is really what allows us to micromanage our farming practices.
And by consistent weather, you mean it's sunny all the time.
We average just over 3 inches of rain a year. We don't have many clouds, but that consistent sunlight is what allows us to really be able to focus on our farming practices day by day.
But the climate is also what's creating problems for the farmers here. The Colorado River's major reservoirs, Lake Powell and Lake Mead, reached historic lows a few years ago. A multi-year drought continues to squeeze supply in the Southwest.
Scientists say that rising temperatures from man-made climate change have supercharged the drought in the West, causing the last 2 decades to be the driest in at least 1,200 years. At the same time, the average flows from the Colorado River, which these crops entirely rely on, are down by about 20%.
For several decades, farmers managed to get more so-called crop per drop. They're adopting newer technologies to try and stay ahead of the dwindling water supply.
If you look at the statistics, we've increased our production for the last 30 years. High density beds, different genetics, satellite driven laser level equipment, and we're now producing more crop per drop than anywhere in the U.S.
The law of the river governs how the Colorado's waters are allocated, with most of it going to agriculture. Farmers in Yuma have senior water rights, meaning if there were ever mandated cuts, they'd be among the last to be forced to comply. But the river is so depleted, even they are starting to worry. Paul Brierly is the head of Arizona's Agriculture Department.
Is there a sense that those rights are in peril, given?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of competition. So and it's on a lot of different levels.
Scarcity has led to heated negotiations between states and tribes, between the upper and lower basin, and between growers and growing cities. The river is over-allocated.
If we had continued on that drought, there would have come a point where, the water availability on the river would have been so finite that it might have come down to a choice of, do we grow crops or do we have to shuttle water off to the different cities that get Colorado River just to keep them alive.
Brierly says Yuma has long had a target on its back.
Yuma has some of the oldest and highest priorities on the Colorado River, yet they're at the end of the river, right? Like right over there, it goes into Mexico. So you can have the best rights in the world, but if the water's not flowing down to you, there's not a lot you can do. So,
You know, in 2022, when we really saw it get near Deadpool, was there panic in this area, and was that a wake-up call?
it was a wake-up call, not just to this area, to the whole region. There was a call from the Bureau of Reclamation to possibly have to reduce water use by 20 to 40%, which is a huge, a huge thing. And so Yuma Agriculture got together and put together a plan trying to navigate to, and this is something I'm passionate about, is not have fallowing farmland, taking land out of production be the answer, but to be more efficient with water and continue producing food, because it's a national security to have our own food supply.
This past year's snows in the Rockies may have bought farmers some time, but John Dinsmore says he's not burying his head in the sand.
The science that leads us to these new practices is helpful, as well as the science that gives us a forecast of what the future might look like. It can be scary, but again, to be a farmer, you've got to have some hope.
They'll continue, he says, to take it season by season for as long as the winter salad bowl is on the menu. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Stephanie Tsai in Yuma, Arizona.